trade will continue, and especially between if they're able to limit the energy trade between India and Russia, then Russia will rely even more heavily on exporting to China, which seems to have a never-ending appetite for Russian energy. So I think at some point it's not even in the interest. And what you see is once you start disrupting oil trade between Russia and India, oil prices go up, and we find out that that the Russians, whatever they lose in exports in terms of quantity, they can often make up in terms of the increased prices. So this is why Biden, for example, didn't want to put this kind of sanctions on Russian energy, because it was predictable that it would fail, and it would heighten energy costs, and this has massive ramifications all over the world. I mean, look at Japan. They have very, very dependent on imports of energy, and the price of energy is going up now while their currency is going down, which means that their whole economy could begin to disintegrate if it continues this path. And Europe is no better, and America is starting to struggle itself. So I think a lot of these things were, they were seen as possible low-hanging fruit. That is, turn the screws on the Indians, they will then begin to distance themselves from Russia. BRICS might begin to fragment, and unipolarity will be restored. I think it's a pipe dream.
You mentioned bilateral ties. It has been growing. When you talk about trade, it has been growing rapidly, and it has, when we talk about the partnership, it's not just defense, it also is trade, energy, people-to-people ties, when we talk about the summit, of course, these talks are not just on arms, seaborne oil, this all comes while Western sanctions are also squeezing these decades-old ties between Russia and India. Moscow has also been India's top arms supplier for decades and has said that it wants to import more Indian goods in an effort to grow trade to about $100 billion by 2030. And that so far has been skewed in its favor due to New Delhi's energy imports. Now, of course, we'll be shortly going live at the Hyderabad House, where we see these two leaders come out and talk. And these are the visuals that we're getting right from Hyderabad House. Let's listen.
His Excellency Mr. Vladimir Putin, President of the Russian Federation, Shri Narendra Modi, Prime Minister of the Republic of Bharat, Honorable Ministers, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. I welcome you all to this ceremony where we shall witness exchange of several MOUs and agreements and a few announcements that reflect the wide-ranging, multifaceted bilateral cooperation under the framework of the India-Russia Special and Privileged Strategic Partnership. We will begin with exchange of two documents, namely the agreement between the Government of the Republic of India and the Government of the Russian Federation on cooperation in migration, and the agreement between the Government of the Republic of India and the Government of the Russian Federation on temporary labor activity of citizens of one state in the territory of the other state. These documents will be exchanged by Mr. Vladimir Kolokoltsev, Minister of Internal Affairs of the Russian Federation, and Dr. S. Jaishankar, External Affairs Minister of India. The next two documents include the agreement between the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare of the Republic of India and the Ministry of Health of the Russian Federation on the cooperation in the field of healthcare, medical education and science, as well as the agreement between the Food Safety and Standards Authority of India of the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare of Republic of India and the Federal Service for Surveillance on Consumer Rights Protection and Human Well-being of the Russian Federation in the field of food safety cooperation. These two agreements will be exchanged by Mr. Mikhail Albertovich Murashko, Minister of Health of the Russian Federation, and Dr. S. Jaishankar, External Affairs Minister of India. We next have two memorandums of understandings. These include the MOU between the Ministry of Ports, Shipping and Waterways of the Republic of India and the Ministry of Transport of the Russian Federation on the training of specialists for ships operating in polar waters, and the MOU between the Ministry of Ports, Shipping and Waterways of the Republic of India and the Maritime Board of the Russian Federation. These documents will be exchanged by Mr. Andrei Sergeyevich Nikitin, Minister of Transport of the Russian Federation, and Sri Sarvananda Sonowal, Minister of Ports, Shipping and Waterways of India. We now have the exchange of MOU between Messrs. JSC Ural Chem and Messrs. Rashtriya Chemicals and Fertilizers Limited and National Fertilizers Limited and Indian Potash Limited. This document will be exchanged by His Excellency Denis Alipov, Ambassador of the Russian Federation to India, and Sri Vinay Kumar, Ambassador of India to the Russian Federation. The last two documents include the protocol between the Central Board of Indirect Taxes and Customs of the Government of the Republic of India and the Federal Customs Service of the Russian Federation for cooperation in exchange of pre-arrival information in respect of goods and vehicles moved between the Republic of India and the Russian Federation, and the bilateral agreement between the Department of Posts, Ministry of Communications of the Republic of India and JSC, the Russian Post. These documents will be exchanged by His Excellency Denis Alipov, Ambassador of the Russian Federation to India, and Sri Vinay Kumar, Ambassador of India to the Russian Federation. I would like to additionally inform everyone that the two leaders have also adopted a joint statement which would be issued shortly. Both sides have also adopted the program for the development of strategic areas of India-Russia economic cooperation till 2030. And we also welcome the Russian side's decision to adopt the framework agreement to join the International Big Cat Alliance. Ladies and gentlemen, I now request the spokesperson of the Ministry of External Affairs to conduct the rest of the proceedings.
Namaskar, good afternoon, Your Excellency, Mr. Vladimir Putin, President of the Russian Federation, Honorable Prime Minister of India, Shri Narendra Modi, Honorable Ministers, members of both delegations, distinguished guests, and friends from the media. We will now have the press statements. May I request Honorable Prime Minister of India, Shri Narendra Modi, to give his remarks to the media.
Your Excellency, my friend, Rashtrapati Putin,
Your Excellency, my friend,
दोनों देशों के delegates,
Putin, delegates of
मीडिया
both
के साथियों,
countries, friends from the media, Namaskar.
दोबरी दिन,
Dobry den.
आज भारत और रूस के
It gives
23वें
me
शिखर
immense
सम्मेलन
pleasure to
राष्ट्रपति
welcome
पुतिन का
President Putin
स्वागत करते हुए
to
मुझे
the 23rd
बहुत खुशी हो रही
India-Russia Annual Summit.
उनकी यात्रा
His visit to
ऐसे
India
समय हो रही है
comes at a time
जब हमारे
when our
द्विपक्षीय संबंध
bilateral relations
कई
are
ऐतिहासिक
passing
माइलस्टोन के
through
दौर
a
से गुजर रहे
period
हैं।
marked by several historic
25 वर्ष
milestones.
पहले
It was exactly
राष्ट्रपति
25
पुतिन ने
years ago
हमारी स्ट्रेटेजिक पार्टनरशिप की
laid the
नींव रखी
foundation
थी।
of our strategic
15 वर्ष पहले 2010
ago
में
in 2000.
हमारी साझेदारी को
Partnership was
स्पेशल एंड प्रिविलेज स्ट्रेटेजिक पार्टनरशिप का दर्जा मिला।
special and privileged strategic.
पिछले 2.5 दशक से
In the last 2
उन्होंने अपने नेतृत्व और दूरदृष्टि से
has consistently
इन संबंधों को
nurtured
निरंतर सींचा है।
with his leadership
हर परिस्थिति में
in
उनके
every
नेतृत्व ने
situation, His
आपसी
leadership
संबंधों को
has elevated
नई ऊंचाई दी।
relations to a new
भारत के प्रति
I
इस गहरी मित्रता
express my
और
heartfelt gratitude
अटूट प्रतिबद्धता के लिए
for
मैं राष्ट्रपति पुतिन का, मेरे मित्र का हृदय से आभार व्यक्त करता हूं।
India.
फ्रेंड्स,
Friends,
पिछले 8 दशकों में
the last 8
विश्व में
the world
अनेक उतार चढ़ाव आए।
many ups and downs.
मानवता को अनेक चुनौतियों और संकटों से गुजरना पड़ा
Countless challenges and
और इन सब के बीच भी
and during all
भारत रूस मित्रता
India-Russia
एक
friendship
ध्रुव तारे की तरह बनी रही है।
firm like a pole.
परस्पर सम्मान
These relations,
और गहरे विश्वास पर टिके ये संबंध
mutual respect,
समय की हर कसौटी पर हमेशा
always
खरे उतरे हैं।
stood the test of time.
आज हमने
Today,
इस नींव को
we discussed
और मजबूत करने के लिए
of cooperation.
सहयोग के सभी पहलुओं पर चर्चा
This
की।
foundation, even
आर्थिक सहयोग को नई ऊंचाइयों पर ले जाना
cooperation to new
हमारी साझी प्राथमिकता है।
our shared priority.
इसे साकार करने के लिए आज हमने
A reality
2030 तक के लिए
agreed
एक
and
इकोनॉमिक
economic
कोऑपरेशन प्रोग्राम पर
program
सहमति बनाई है।
2030
इससे हमारा व्यापार और निवेश
will help make
डाइवर्सिफाइड
and investments more
Balance
diversified, more
और
balanced,
सस्टेनेबल बननेगा
more sustainable,
और सहयोग के क्षेत्रों
at
में
the same time,
नए आयाम भी जुड़ेंगे।
new dimensions to our
आज
area of cooperation.
राष्ट्रपति पुतिन
Today,
और मुझे
Putin and I
इंडिया रशिया बिजनेस फोरम में शामिल होने का
participate
अवसर मिलेगा।
in the India-Russia
मुझे पूरा विश्वास है कि ये मंच
confident
हमारे बिजनेस संबंधों को नई ताकत
further
देगा।
strengthen our business
इससे
relations. They
export,
will also open
को प्रोडक्शन
new doors for
और को इनोवेशन के नए दरवाजे भी खुलेंगे।
and co-innovation.
दोनों पक्ष
Both sides
यूरेशियन इकोनॉमिक यूनियन के साथ
to conclude
एफटीए के
FTA with
शीघ्र समापन के लिए प्रयास कर रहे हैं।
Economic Union at
कृषि
the earliest.
और फर्टिलाइजर के क्षेत्र में
Cooperation in the area of
हमारा करीबी सहयोग
fertilizers,
फूड सिक्योरिटी
important for
और किसान कल्याण के लिए
and for the
महत्वपूर्ण
welfare
है।
of our farmers.
मुझे खुशी है
Pleased
कि इसे आगे बढ़ाते हुए
to this forward,
अब दोनों
both
पक्ष
sides
साथ मिलकर
making effort
यूरिया उत्पादन के प्रयास
joint
कर रहे
production
हैं।
of urea.
फ्रेंड्स,
Friends,
दोनों देशों के बीच
using
कनेक्टिविटी
connectivity between
बढ़ाना हमारी मुख्य प्राथमिकता
is
है।
a major priority.
हम INSTC,
We will move
नॉर्दर्न सी रूट,
the INST
चेन्नई व्लादिवोस्तोक कॉरिडोर पर नई ऊर्जा के साथ
Vladivostok
आगे बढ़ेंगे।
with renewed energy.
मुझे खुशी है
I am pleased
कि अब हम भारत के
we will be
सी फेरर्स की
for the trade
पोलर वाटर्स में ट्रेनिंग के लिए सहयोग करेंगे।
waters.
यह आर्कटिक में हमारे सहयोग को नई ताकत तो देगा ही,
Strength
साथ ही
cooperation in
इससे भारत के युवाओं के लिए
also create
रोजगार के नए अवसर बढ़ेंगे।
employment for the Indian youth.
उसी प्रकार से
Similarly,
शिप बिल्डिंग में हमारा गहरा सहयोग
cooperation in the
मेक इन
area of
इंडिया को
shipbuilding
सशक्त बनाने का सामर्थ्य रखता है।
strengthening our Make in India
यह हमारे विन विन सहयोग का एक और उत्तम उदाहरण है,
is another
जिससे
example
jobs,
of our win-win cooperation,
स्किल्स
which
और
will
रीजनल कनेक्टिविटी
skills
सभी को बल मिलेगा।
as well as regional connectivity,
ऊर्जा सुरक्षा
energy security,
भारत रूस साझेदारी का
and a strong
मजबूत और महत्वपूर्ण स्तंभ रहा है।
India-Russia partnership.
सिविल न्यूक्लियर एनर्जी के क्षेत्र में
Our decade
हमारा दशकों पुराना सहयोग
in the area of civil
क्लीन एनर्जी की हमारी साझा प्राथमिकताओं को
instrumental in helping us
सार्थक बनाने में महत्वपूर्ण रहा है।
to clean energy
हम इस विन विन सहयोग को जारी
for
रखेंगे।
both of us. We will continue
क्रिटिकल मिनरल्स में हमारा सहयोग
cooperation
पूरे विश्व में सिक्योर
in the area of
और डाइवर्सिफाइड सप्लाई चेन सुनिश्चित करने के लिए महत्वपूर्ण है।
and diverse
इससे
supply chain
क्लीन
in the
एनर्जी,
entire world
हाईटेक मैन्युफैक्चरिंग
also gives strong
और न्यू एज इंडस्ट्रीज में
partnership,
हमारी साझेदारी को
clean energy,
ठोस समर्थन मिलेगा।
manufacturing
Friends,
and new
भारत और रूस के संबंधों में
friends
हमारे सांस्कृतिक सहयोग
relations
और पीपल टू पीपल टाइज का
ties
विशेष महत्व रहा है।
special importance
दशकों से
Russia relations.
दोनों देशों के लोगों में एक दूसरे के प्रति स्नेह,
Two countries
सम्मान
have shared
और आत्मीयता का भाव रहा है।
respect and close
इन संबंधों को और मजबूत करने के लिए हमने कई नए कदम उठाए हैं।
new steps to further
हाल ही में
these relations.
रूस में
Only
भारत
recently
के 2 नए कॉन्सुलेट्स खोले गए हैं।
opened 2 new Indian
इससे दोनों देशों के नागरिकों के बीच
This will
संपर्क और सुगम होगा
make easier between
और आपसी नजदीकियां बढ़ेगी।
countries and will bring them
इस वर्ष
closer
अक्टूबर में
together. This
लाखों श्रद्धालुओं को
hundreds
काल्मिकिया में
thousands of
इंटरनेशनल बुद्धिस्ट फोरम में
blessings
भगवान बुद्ध के पवित्र अवशेषों का आशीर्वाद मिला।
Buddha at the
मुझे खुशी है
Buddhist
कि
forum
शीघ्र ही
Kalmykia
हम रूसी नागरिकों के लिए
that very soon
निशुल्क
we will be starting
30 डे ई टूरिस्ट वीजा
tourist visa
और 30 डे
a 30
ग्रुप टूरिस्ट वीजा की शुरुआत करने जा रहे हैं।
for Russian citizens.
मैन पावर मोबिलिटी
Our mobility
हमारे लोगों को जोड़ने के साथ साथ
not only bring our
दोनों देशों के लिए
closer together
नई ताकत और नए अवसर क्रिएट
to
करेगी।
both countries
मुझे खुशी है
and create new
कि इससे बढ़ावा देने के लिए आज
and please
2 समझौते किए गए हैं।
two
हम मिलकर
agreements have been signed
वोकेशनल
today
एजुकेशन,
to promote this.
स्किलिंग
Together
और ट्रेनिंग पर भी काम करेंगे। हम दोनों देशों के स्टूडेंट्स, स्कॉलर्स और खिलाड़ियों का आदान प्रदान भी बढ़ाएंगे। फ्रेंड्स, आज हमने क्षेत्रीय और वैश्विक मुद्दों पर भी चर्चा की। यूक्रेन के संबंध में भारत ने शुरुआत से शांति का पक्ष रखा है। हम इस विषय के शांतिपूर्ण और स्थायी समाधान के लिए किए जा रहे सभी प्रयासों का स्वागत करते हैं। भारत सदैव अपना योगदान देने के लिए तैयार रहा है और आगे भी रहेगा। आतंकवाद के विरुद्ध लड़ाई में भारत और रूस ने लंबे समय से कंधे से कंधा मिलाकर सहयोग किया है। पहलगाम में हुआ आतंकी हमला हो या क्रोकस सिटी हॉल पर किया गया कायरतापूर्ण आघात, इन सभी घटनाओं की जड़ एक ही है। भारत का अटल विश्वास है कि आतंकवाद मानवता के मूल्यों पर सीधा प्रहार है और इसके विरुद्ध वैश्विक एकता ही हमारी सबसे बड़ी ताकत है। भारत और रूस के बीच यूएन, G20, ब्रिक्स, SCO तथा अन्य मंचों पर करीबी सहयोग रहा है। करीबी तालमेल के साथ आगे बढ़ते हुए हम इन सभी मंचों पर अपना संवाद और सहयोग जारी रखेंगे। एक्सेलेंसी, मुझे पूरा विश्वास है कि आने वाले समय में हमारी मित्रता हमें ग्लोबल चैलेंजेस का सामना करने की शक्ति देगी और यही भरोसा हमारे साझा भविष्य को और समृद्ध करेगा। मैं एक बार फिर आपको और आपके पूरे डेलीगेशन को भारत यात्रा के लिए बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद देता हूं। स्पासिबा।
Thank you, sir. May I now request His Excellency Mr. Vladimir Putin, President of the Russian Federation, to give his remarks to the media.
Уважаемый господин премьер-министр,
Distinguished
дорогой друг,
Prime Minister, dear friend,
дамы и господа,
ladies and gentlemen,
прежде всего хотел бы искренне
first of all, I would
поблагодарить
like to sincerely
Президента
thank
Республики
the President
Индия
of the Republic of
Draupadi
India,
Murmu,
Draupadi Murmu,
вас господин премьер-министр,
you personally, distinguished Prime Minister, and all our Indian colleagues for the warm and hospitable welcome accorded to the Russian delegation.
завершившиеся только что переговоры с
The
индийскими
negotiations that we just
коллегами, а
had
также
with
наша
the Indian
беседа
colleagues,
вчера
as well
вечером
as our
с господином Моди в
talk
формате
yesterday
тет-а-тет
with
у него
distinguished Mr. Modi
дома,
in the form of
я вас еще
tete-a-tete at his residence. The dinner was great. I would like to thank you for this sign of attention.
были весьма полезными.
These talks were very useful. They were held in a
дружественной
constructive and a friendly atmosphere,
особо
in the spirit of the special and privileged partnership between Russia and India. I would like to point out that we and Prime Minister Modi have established a close working dialogue. In September this year, we met during the CEO summit in Tianjin. We are regularly having telephone calls. We are personally overseeing some aspects of the development of Russian-Indian cooperation, all strategic avenues, and also we are monitoring the course of the completion of key bilateral projects. And today, with the participation of our delegations, we have meticulously and substantively reviewed the whole range of relevant questions of the Russian-Indian multifaceted interaction. We exchange our opinions on the relevant global and regional subjects. In the joint statement that we've adopted with Mr. Modi, we've delineated the priority objectives on the further reinforcements of our ties in the politics and security, economy, trade, in humanitarian and cultural spheres. As you saw for yourself, we have signed an impressive package of intergovernmental, interagency and corporate agreements. Many of those agreements are intended to broaden the economic cooperation between Russia and India. And this is entirely natural due to the fact that our countries are important partners of one another in trade, investment and technologies. Last year, our bilateral trade turnover has grown by 12%, setting another record. According to different data, this number may look different, but it is generally around 64 billion US dollars. Currently, we are forecasting that the results of this year will remain at the same impressive level. At the same time, as I perceive it, we are up to the task of getting this number to the level of $100 billion. And to reach this important goal, we have harmonized the program of development of Russian-Indian economic cooperation until 2030. This comprehensive document gives us a concrete set of objectives. The Intergovernmental Commission, the ministries and different agencies of the economic bloc of both countries have set objectives to remove barriers hampering the goods flows and capitals, the implementation of joint projects and deep technology and innovation cooperation. And distinguished Prime Minister gave us a whole list of challenges that deserve the most attentive focus of our government. We will do that. The growth of Russian-Indian commercial links would be helped by the creation of a free trade zone between India and the Eurasian Economic Union. We are already conducting work on the corresponding agreement. I would like to note with satisfaction that our countries are gradually moving to the use of national currencies in mutual settlements. The share of these national currencies is already 96% in commercial deals. We have established resilient channels of credit, financial and interbanking cooperation. Russian economic operators have broadened the sphere of use of Indian rupees, which we receive from the fulfillment of export contracts. Russian rubles are being used to provide loans for large joint projects. We are also seeing successful partnership in energy. Russia is a reliable supplier of oil, gas, coal and everything that is required for the development of India's energy. We are ready to continue uninterrupted shipments of fuel for the fast-growing Indian economy. Of course, the bilateral interaction in energy does not limit to that. We are also conducting a flagship project to build the largest Indian nuclear power plant, Kudankulam. 2 out of 6 reactor units have been already connected to the energy network, and 4 are still under construction.
Вывод этой АЭС на полную мощность.
Getting this nuclear power plant to full power output will give an impressive contribution to the energy requirements of India. It will help supply Indian enterprises and houses with cheap and clean energy. We presume that we could talk about the construction of small modular reactors and floating nuclear power plants, and also non-energy application of nuclear technologies, for example, in medicine or agriculture. We are working with our Indian partners to build new, effective international transport logistic routes, including the projects to create an international north-south transport corridor from Russia and Belarus to the Indian Ocean coast. There are large opportunities for bilateral trade due to the broadening of the trans-Arctic transport corridor infrastructure, including its main artery, the Northern Sea Route. There are many other sectors of the economy where Russia and India have garnered positive experience. We are conducting joint initiatives in industry, machine manufacturing, digital technologies, space exploration, and other science-intensive avenues. For example, in accordance with the commercial agreement signed during the visit, there will be a large Russian-Indian pharmaceutical factory built in the Kaluga region in Russia. We will be starting the production of high-quality anti-tumor medicinal drugs using the advanced Indian technology. In their turn, the Russian enterprises will be establishing the production of industrial products in the framework of the Make in India program, which is a hallmark project of distinguished Prime Minister Modi. The prospects of the reinforcement of the interaction of Russian-Indian entrepreneurs and business circles are discussed in detail during the ongoing business forum in New Delhi. We are going to take part in the plenary session of this event today together with Mr. Modi. The humanitarian cooperation between Russia and India is also of a multifaceted character. Our peoples throughout centuries have been sincerely interested in the traditions, history and spiritual values of each other. Scientific and educational contacts, exchanges from among the youth and public are also actively developing. The regular alternating festivals of Russian Indian cinema are always popular. From year to year, we see the increase in tourist flows. Today, the Russian TV channel RT is starting its broadcast in India. The new channel will undoubtedly help the Indian audience to better know Russia and Russians, and also to receive an objective information regarding what is going on in our country today. While discussing the key global and regional problems, we have confirmed the consonance between the positions of our countries. Russia and India are conducting independent and self-sufficient foreign policy together with the like-minded countries in BRICS and SCO, and from among other countries of the global majority. We are promoting the processes of forming of a more just and democratic multipolar world order. We are defending the main principles of the international law enshrined in the Charter of the UN. Among them, the right of any country for its own way of development and the preservation of their cultural civilizational identity, respect for sovereignty, careful balance of interests of all participants of the world community. As state founders of the BRICS, Russia and India have done a lot of things and continue to do more to increase the authority of the organization. As you know, next year India will assume the chairship, and the BRICS will provide all necessary assistance to our Indian friends in the work on the relevant BRICS agenda. I would like to point out Russia and India are traditionally closely cooperating in the military technical sphere. Our country, for the last half a century, has been helping to arm and modernize the Indian Army, including the air defense forces, aviation, and the Navy. In general, we are undoubtedly satisfied with the results of the negotiation we just had. We are also, ahead of us, we have the meeting with the President of India, Madam Murmu, but even now I can express my confidence that the current visit and the agreements reached will help the further deepening of the Russian-Indian strategic partnership for the benefit of our countries and the peoples of India and Russia. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, sir. That concludes the press statements. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your presence.
And that was the Russian president and the Indian prime minister addressing the press. There are many topics that they touched upon. Well, we begin with both of the leaders thanking each other for inviting, of course, Russian president thanking Indian prime minister for inviting him to India. Now, there's a lot of things from trade to defense to clean energy that have been talked about in these address. Russian president also announcing that they are ready to continue uninterrupted supply of fuels. We know that oil and gas has been one subject that has been talked about in this bilateral. Many MOUs have been signed, from people-to-people ties to agriculture. Many topics have been discussed in this bilateral. And we will, of course, continue to cover this whole trip of President Putin in India. Well, that will call a wrap to this bulletin, but don't go anywhere. We'll continue our coverage on the other side of this very short break. Keep watching WION for this one.
Where darkness hides behind every corner. Where the truth is stranger than fiction. A show that dives deep into the stories which shock and mystify. Unsolved murders. Psychopaths who defy explanation. International war crimes. And millions swindled in financial fraud. The victims, the accused, and the sinister plot. Crime is your front row seat to darkness. From the bustling trading floors of Wall Street to the vibrant exchanges of Asian stock markets, WION breaks it down for you to make sense of what's happening, as we reveal the key factors behind events, strategic battles, and the game-changing business decisions that shape the world. We bring you all of this and more on World Business Watch.
Rashtriya Swayamsevak Sangh. To some, it's an extreme ideology. To others, it's the very soul of India. To some, it's rebellion. To others, it's a principle of nation building. Coming soon to challenge perceptions in RSS Centenary Year, Kesariya at 100.
Where darkness hides behind every corner. Where the truth is stranger than fiction. A show that dives deep into the stories which shock and mystify. Unsolved murders. Psychopaths who defy explanation. International war crimes. And millions swindled in financial fraud. The victims, the accused, and the sinister plot. Crime is your front row seat to darkness.
Vielleicht nur als Imposant.
Thanks for staying tuned to WION. I'm Samiksha Srivastava. Here's a check of the headlines you're tracking this hour. During a joint press conference, Prime Minister Narendra Modi said India-Russia friendship has stood the test of times, adding that President Vladimir Putin's visit comes at a time when bilateral relations are reaching several historic milestones. Union Home Minister Amit Shah speaks to the Aviation Minister after mass cancellations of Indigo flights. This as the DGCA eases pilot duty rules. European Commission designates Russia as a high-risk country for money laundering and terror financing, says EU entities must exercise enhanced vigilance in all transactions involving Russia to protect integrity. GE Aerospace hands over 5th LCA Tejas Mk1A engine to HAL in a significant boost to India's Tejas fighter capabilities. The delivery comes shortly after the 4th engine arrived in October. India's aviation watchdog DGCA withdraws one part of its new flight duty time limitation rules. This in an attempt to resolve the crisis that has affected Indigo, the country's largest airline. Simone Tata, mother of Noel Tata and a key architect of Lakme and West Side, dies in Mumbai. Her last rites will take place on Saturday morning in Colaba. Lionel Messi will have the chance to win his maiden MLS Cup later today when Inter Miami take on Thomas Mueller's Vancouver Whitecaps in Florida. Well, it's been the 4th consecutive day of aviation chaos across Indian airports. More than 1,000 Indigo flights have been cancelled in the last 3 days. From departures from New Delhi that have been cancelled till midnight, flyers are stranded for hours across multiple airports, in response to which the Indian Civil Aviation Regulator has now eased the flight duty time limitation norms. My colleague Jyotsna is joining us on the broadcast to break down the Indigo meltdown.
Well, thank you so much, Samiksha. Now, disruptions in Indigo's operations have left thousands of passengers stranded across airports with little to no information on flight status. Now, these are the images that you see right there from Delhi's Indira Gandhi International Airport. Now, this is where desperate passengers are seen thronging Indigo's counters for flight information. Luggage can be seen piled up at the airport. Now, similar situation was witnessed at Pune Airport as well. Angry passengers were seen stuck in queues without water and food, and this after several Indigo flights either cancelled or were delayed. And from Pune in Maharashtra to now Hyderabad. People were furious and were seen sloganeering at the airport. They are raising anti-Indigo slogans and seeking justice from the Indian government. Meanwhile, in Chennai, angry passengers are seen questioning the Indigo ground staff. They're demanding the airline for answers after their flight disruptions.
You're saying half the trip. You're saying half the trip, right? License will be cancelled. What is the half of the trip? It is not, has been reached. All I'm saying. Yeah, I want to cancel.
The question is, why is Indigo worse hit compared to other airlines? Here's why. Now, with its fleet of over 400 aircraft, Indigo operates over 2,300 flights a day. Indigo alone accounts for over 60% of domestic passenger traffic. Even a 10% flight cancellation rate would mean over 230 cancelled flights for Indigo. And by contrast, the next biggest airline group, Air India, operates less than half the number of flights. Well, moreover, Indigo connects over 90 domestic and 45 international destinations on a daily basis. A narrow-body aircraft like the Airbus A320, which forms the bulk of Indigo's fleet, usually operates multiple flights a day. Indigo's aircraft and crew utilization levels are higher than other Indian carriers like Air India or Akasa Airs. Now, the airline also has more high-volume nighttime flights that is compared to its competitors. Although Indigo is a champion of low-cost carrier model, it does so with a lean staffing model. This means that delays and cancellations can quickly cascade. The situation became worse if flight crews reach their duty hour caps due to delays and the airline has to scramble for a replacement crew. Now, keeping aviation safety in mind, the DGCA tightened flight duty time limitations. Now, under the FDTL rules, the weekly rest period for pilots was increased to 48 hours from 36 hours. Night landings have been limited to 2 from 6, that was earlier. This is learned to have impacted Indigo's crew rostering significantly. The norms have also extended the definition of night hours by an hour, imposing additional constraints on the airline's operations. Under the norms, not more than 2 consecutive night duties are allowed. The rules are aimed at better combating pilot fatigue, which is a key risk in aviation safety. However, they collided head-on with winter schedules, a pilot crunch, and a burst of technical snags. Now, but why is flight duty time limitations back in news? Now, let me take you a little back in time. The revised DGCA FDTL rules were notified with immediate effect on May 31st last year. The Indian aviation regulator initially asked airlines that they are required to comply by June 1st, 2024. But the implementation of flight duty time limitations rules was deferred following pushback from Indigo and other airlines. Now later, DGCA decided to do the rollout and roll out the norms in a phased manner. They were rolled out in 2 phases in July and November. Now, while Indigo managed the first phase, which included longer weekly rest periods for crew, without much impact, the second phase, requiring curtailed crew utilization levels for the red-eye flights, hit Indigo a lot harder. Now, let's take a look at what Indigo has told DGCA in its meeting. Now, the airline has said that the flight cancellations will continue for next 2 to 3 days. Indigo has informed that it will reduce its flight operations to minimize disruption from December 8th, while assuring that normalized and stable operations will be fully restored by February 10th next year. While known for its punctuality, the sharp drop in its on-time performance, Indigo has said that disruptions are due to misjudgment and planning gaps. Now, amid the flight disruptions, the airline has admitted that the actual crew requirement for new norms exceeded its anticipation. The airline has issued an apology to its passengers. It has assured the passengers that they will be informed about the change in flight status. It has gone on to say that it is working to reduce the impact of disruptions and restore normalcy. Now, pilot associations have also claimed the carrier was not prepared for the new FDTL rules despite sufficient notice. Airline Pilots Association of India said the flight disruptions reflected a failure of proactive resource planning by dominant airlines like Indigo. The Federation of Indian Pilots say that the disruption is a direct consequence of Indigo's prolonged and unorthodox lean manpower strategy across departments, particularly in flight operations. Now, the grouping claimed that despite the 2-year preparatory window before full FDTL implementation, the airline inexplicably adopted a hiring freeze, entered non-poaching arrangements, maintained a pilot pay freeze as well, and also demonstrated other short-sighted planning practices. Well, that's all on the Indigo issue. Over to you, Samiksha.
All right, Jyotsna, thank you for breaking it down for us. For now, we switch focus to news that we're tracking from the US. Vice President J.D. Vance has criticized the European Union over its expected move to fine X. Now, in a post on social media platform, J.D. Vance asked the European Union to not target American firms over allegations he described as garbage and even urged them to support free speech. According to Capital Forum, the European Commission is preparing to issue its first ever sanction under the Digital Services Act, which is the DSA, in the coming days and possibly as early as Friday. Two people with direct knowledge of the discussions said that the final timing and even size of the penalty was still being debated upon within the Commission level. And also, according to sources that were cited in this report, the expected fine is not related to content takedowns, but to alleged violations on advertisement transparency, data access, and even deceptive design. Last year, the Commission issued preliminary charges accusing X of deceiving users through blue check mark system, arguing that the verification badge did not allow users to make informed choices about the accounts they interact with. Now, news from West Asia, Israeli forces carried out fresh airstrikes on Lebanon, and this just one day after civil envoys from both the countries sat down for direct talks for the very first time in many years. Now, this is the moment that we will put on our screens, on your screens now, when an Israeli missile struck a building in a village in southern Lebanon. Israeli forces carried out several other strikes across the region. Take a look at these visuals. Another Israeli strike hit the Jabba village in southern Lebanon, where rescue workers reached the site to douse the fire. While the IDF claims that it is targeting Hezbollah sites at this location, Lebanese officials and even eyewitnesses say that the Israel forces have been targeting residential areas and buildings where civilians live.
The neighborhood is full of residents. It's a 3-story home. It's completely civilian. The owners live in Beirut. Unfortunately, they didn't have time to remove their memories and important personal items.
Now, despite a ceasefire which is technically has been in effect since November last year, Israel has regularly carried out these attacks on Lebanon. The latest wave of Israeli strikes follows the first direct talks between the delegations of both the countries. Now, following the negotiations, the Lebanese leadership even issued a statement in which it said that the next round of talks will be held on 19th of December after positive first meeting was held.
Until now, the reactions to the first meeting have been positive, and we must take advantage of this to achieve our goal of avoiding the spectre of a second war in Lebanon.
Well, the Israeli side also lauded the historic meeting, calling for peace between Israel and its neighbors.
This is a historic development. Be in no doubt that this direct meeting between Israel and Lebanon took place as a result of Prime Minister Netanyahu's efforts to change the face of the Middle East. As the Prime Minister has said, there are unique opportunities to create peace with our neighbors.
Israel insists on Hezbollah's disarmament as a key condition for peace between the two countries. While Lebanon's envoy has not explicitly agreed to this demand yet, both sides are willing to expand the scope of one-on-one talks. Now, Rwanda and Congo have signed a US-brokered peace deal which is aimed at ending the conflict in the eastern Congo and even opening the region's critical mineral reserves to the US government and American companies.
I do believe this day is the beginning of a new path. A demanding path, yes indeed, quite difficult, but this is a path where peace will not just be a wish, an aspiration, but a turning point. The Democratic Republic of Congo will fully play its part with dignity, with consciousness and consistency, and with the support of our partners. We will remain watchful, vigilant, but not pessimistic.
No one was asking President Trump to take up this task. Our region is far from the headlines. But when the President saw the opportunity to contribute to peace, he immediately took it. This conflict has lasted for 30 years.
Praising the leaders of the Democratic Republic of Congo and Rwanda and their courage as they signed the deal, Trump spoke about the related economic and mining pacts that he said will lure investors to war-torn region.
Today, the United States is also signing our own bilateral agreements with the Congo and Rwanda that will unlock new opportunities for the United States to access critical minerals and provide economic benefits for everybody. And we'll be involved with sending some of our biggest and greatest companies over to the two countries. And we're going to take out some of the rare earth and take out some of the assets and pay, and everybody's going to make a lot of money.
The moment of deal being inked offered Trump another chance to tout himself as a peacemaker on the global stage. And the pact between Rwanda and Congolese president follows months-long peace efforts by the US and partners, including the African Union and Qatar. While the peace deal finalizes an earlier deal that was signed in the month of June, the Trump-brokered peace pact is precarious, given that Congo has been battered by decades-long fighting with more than 100 armed groups, the most potent being the Rwanda-backed M23 rebels. In an unprecedented advance, the M23 rebels even seized the region's main cities of Goma and Bukavu this year, and that has even worsened further the humanitarian crisis that was already one of the world's largest, with millions of people displaced. Now, the Pakistani government has barred the PTI founder Imran Khan's sister Uzma from meeting him at the Adiala jail. This decision comes after she was allowed to meet him on 2nd of December, following concerns that were raised by the PTI about his health condition. The Pakistan Information and Broadcasting Minister Atalullah Tarar, who's flanked by Law Minister Azam Nazir Tarar, announced the decision in Islamabad, warning that strict action will be taken against anyone disturbing law and order outside the Adiala jail. The minister went on to accuse the PTI leaders of spreading false claims about Imran Khan's health, adding that Uzma Khan herself had confirmed that the former Pakistan minister was safe. He even alleged that the PTI leaders were feeding propaganda to foreign media and that his three sisters were creating a law and order situation outside the Adiala jail. Further, he added that such spectacles would no longer be tolerated by the administration. Meanwhile, Pakistani Law Minister Azam Nazir Tarar clarified that restrictions on meetings are being enforced under Pakistan's prison rules, stressing that the visitation rights are determined by the jail superintendent, who can stop meetings if they threaten public order. Imran Khan has filed a plea in the Islamabad High Court seeking permission for medical tests within 3 days' time, having requested monthly checkups at Shaukat Khanum Hospital and that reports be shared with his family members as well as the court. Furthermore, Khyber Pakhtunkhwa Chief Minister Sohail Afridi has claimed that he was not allowed to meet Imran Khan for the 9th time at Adyala Jail, claiming that heavy police deployment prevented his access despite a scheduled meet time, calling the denial of permission as illegal and contempt of court. He vowed a stronger response as well. In a statement shared on social media, Imran Khan accused Army Chief Field Marshal Asim Munir of destroying the constitution and subjecting him as well as his family to severe mental torture. Imran Khan did not stop there. He claimed that he's been kept in solitary confinement for 4 weeks without meeting anyone. The former Prime Minister, who's remained in prison since August 2023, faces multiple cases, which includes corruption and terror, following his ouster through a no-confidence motion in 2022. In news from UK, universities in the country are shunning away from any foreign students from Pakistan and Bangladesh following UK Home Office strict immigration rules in place and rising concerns over alleged visa abuse. At least 9 higher education institutions have made changes to their recruitment practices, barring student applicants from high-risk countries over increased pressure, and that is to ensure that they are enrolling genuine students in their universities. Those institutions that have made changes include the University of Chester, which suspended recruitment from Pakistan until autumn 2026. The university has the other university which has not accepted undergraduate applicants from Pakistan and Bangladesh, universities of East London, Wolverhampton and even Sunderland, among others. The UK Home Office has introduced changes to the basic compliance assessment thresholds, which requires universities to ensure that no more than 5% of visa applications are rejected, down from 10% earlier. In the year till September, Pakistan and Bangladesh student visa refusal rates currently stand at 18 and 22%, which exceed the new limit, while both countries account for half of the 23,036 cases turned down by the UK Home Office. The move aims to tackle visa abuse and reduce net migration amid warnings from Border Security Minister Dame Angela Eagle, and this while the visa system must not be used as a backdoor to settling in Britain. Well, India and Russia are stepping up efforts to deepen bilateral trade as both sides explore new areas of cooperation. The two nations have announced dedicated pacts on mobility, health and energy segments. Prime Minister Narendra Modi even laid out the economic cooperation plan till 2030, which includes multiple agreements on labour and shipbuilding. Prime Minister Modi said that it will provide major employment opportunities. The two major nations will also work towards cooperation in skill building. In fact, he even touched upon partnership in critical minerals as a means to balance global supply chains. This offers a much-needed counter to China's export dependence on rare earth minerals. Prime Minister Modi even announced plans for manpower mobility and easier visa access into Russia. While Vladimir Putin hailed trade ties with India, he boasted of a 12% trade turnover surge that's been seen, highlighting how partnerships in clean and nuclear energy have risen, stating that growing use of local currency during transactions has also been on the rise.
We next have two memorandums of understandings. These include
And WION's correspondent Dharamjot Kaur, who's joining us live from New Delhi. In fact, she's just outside the Bharat Mandapam. Dharamjot, we just heard a short while ago the press briefing. Once again, if you can run us through the key takeaways from the joint press briefing by both the leaders.
Well, Samiksha, there is a lot of bustle just right outside Bharat Mandapam. We are expecting the Russian president to attend the Russia-India Business Forum that began over here yesterday. Today is the second day of that business forum, but clearly the stakes are much higher with the leaders of both countries attending this particular forum just a short while from now. Having said that, the Russian president and the Indian Prime Minister in their bilateral meeting and the joint press conference right now spoke in detail about the trade future of both the countries, which clearly have time-tested ties for all of these decades. We did hear President Putin talk about how both countries have been gradually moving towards, in terms of trade, establishing sale and purchase and bilateral trade through national currency. That is something that has been a very important part of India-Russia trade ties and trade investment. So there's going to be further movement in that direction in terms of carrying out trade in national currencies of both countries. There's also going to be a sort of expansion to other sectors of Russian economy where Indian businessmen can be open to further export opportunities. As we are aware, both countries do have around $70 billion worth of trade. And the goal is to reach $100 billion by 2030, that is in the next 5 years. But what we also know is that India has a trade deficit with Russia, given that we are major importers of oil and we in return export a lot of products from agriculture to pharmaceutical and other such products and services as well. But the focus of India with Russia is to diversify and increase its exports to the Russian Federation. And that is what President Putin also mentioned in his statement, of how the Indian Prime Minister has provided a detailed outlook on certain challenges and certain areas of opportunity for India to export to Russia. So clearly those are going to be the major points of discussion, Samiksha, with respect to where this conversation goes, what the future of trade between Russia and India hold. It's a long path, but it's a positive one for sure. That is the key outlook from the address of both the leaders.
So, Dharamjot, thank you for the moment. And of course, one of the other highlight being India announcing 30-day free visa tourists for the Russian nationals. For now, we head into a very short break. News breaks to continue after we come back.
Where darkness hides behind every corner. Where the truth is stranger than fiction. A show that dives deep into the stories which shock and mystify. Unsolved murders. Psychopaths who defy explanation. International war crimes. And millions swindled in financial fraud. The victims, the accused, and the sinister plot. Crime is your front row seat to darkness. WION, India's global voice. The channel that brings you the biggest stories from across the world through India's lens. Now available in more than 190 countries worldwide. Because we believe that the world is one. Watch us in Africa, Europe, USA and Canada, South America, Asia Pacific, Middle East and North African regions. Also available on these digital platforms across the world. WION, World is One.
Hello and welcome to a brand new episode of WION Club. I'm your host Diksha Bisla.
On the show today, we look at how Indian animated movie Mahavatar Narsimha is inching closer to the Academy Awards. We introduce you to the world of interactive films and get you a celebrity-approved style guide for winter dressing. So without further ado, let's get started.
मेरे भाई का हत्यारा
India is making waves on the global animation map. The mythological blockbuster Mahavatar Narsimha might officially enter the Oscar race for the Best Animated Feature at the 98th Academy Awards. The film is now one step closer to a possible historic win. Watch our story to know more.
The Academy has dropped a list of 35 animated features that are eligible for contention this year. And the Indian film Mahavatar Narsimha has roared its way in.
मेरे भाई का हत्यारा आज भी जीवित है।
यदि विष्णु से लड़ना है, ब्रह्मदेव की उपासना करो।
ब्रह्मदेवाय नमः।
Directed by Ashwin Kumar, the film reimagines the fierce and divine avatar of Lord Vishnu.
क्या वर मांगना चाहते हो?
सब कुछ। ब्रह्मदेव, मुझे वरदान दीजिए कि आपकी रचना से जन्मे इस सृष्टि के किसी भी जीव से मेरा वध ना हो। न मैं दिन में मरूं और न रात में। मेरी मृत्यु न घर के भीतर हो और न घर के बाहर। न अस्त्र से, न शस्त्र से, न सजीव से।
The half-man, half-lion protector who destroys evil. It also kickstarts the ambitious 7-film Mahavatar cinematic universe, based on the 10 legendary Vishnu avatars. This new cinematic universe is a long-term project. 7 big animated spectacles will roll out from 2025 all the way till 2037. The journey begins with Mahavatar Narsimha and culminates in a massive 2-part finale centered on Mahavatar Kalki, Vishnu's prophesied final avatar. Think of it as India's own mythological mega franchise, but animated, epic and built for the global stage. Films like Narsimha are part of a growing trend of animated mythology, which are thrilling, vibrant and visually loaded.
तब उसके उद्धार के लिए भगवान विष्णु ने अवतार लिया है।
Remember Ramayana, the legend of Prince Ram? The 1992 Indo-Japanese classic that retold the Ramayana with hand-drawn grandeur. Or Disney's Hercules, the colorful 1997 adventure where Greek gods and monsters stole the show. These films proved one thing. Epic tales don't just belong in dusty books, they absolutely crush it on the screen as well.
Zeus. So, can't. Love to, but can't.
You ought to slow down. You work yourself to death. Work yourself to death.
Kill myself.
But the Oscar race is no walk in the park. Mahavatar Narsimha will be up against some heavy hitters this year. Some of them are K-pop Demon Hunter, a high-energy fantasy where a K-pop idol secretly moonlights as a demon slayer.
You will be hunters.
Next up is Zootopia 2, Disney's smash hit sequel that returns to the crime-solving adventures of Judy Hopps and Nick Wilde.
No snake has set foot in Zootopia in forever.
There's a snake!
And finally, Demon Slayer. The climactic anime chapter fans have waited years for is packed with intense battles and emotional payoffs. It's been a massive year for animation overall. Among the buzziest releases in 2025 was Elio, a warm, quirky tale of a young boy mistakenly abducted to space and declared leader of Earth.
Elio, skipping school? I don't know if this is boundary testing or sleep regression or... Which one of these is you?
I don't know, but I think that one is you.
The Wild Robot, a tender adventure about a robot stranded on an island who learns motherhood from nature itself.
Gordon? Hi, Dad. I'm a bargaining chip.
No, say the other thing.
Oh, help me, Father.
Quiet, you.
What is that unholy sound? Stop!
And Neja 2, the blockbuster continuation of the beloved Chinese mythological hero known for rebirth, rebellion, and jaw-dropping action.
I will change my destiny!
Animated storytelling is having a real moment across cultures, styles, and universes. Now the big wait begins. Will Mahavtar Narasimha make it to the final Oscar nominations? We'll find out on January 22nd, 2026, when the Academy announces the contenders. And come March 15th, the world will know whether India bags a historic animated Oscar. For now, all eyes are on the counting, and the excitement is building.
With his new film, The Run, British filmmaker Paul Rashid has decided to experiment with the concept of interactive filmmaking. Know what it's all about and why is it gaining momentum in the film industry.
Ever thought how different the world of films would be if you could choose your ending? Well, that's something interactive films are now offering to viewers. In simple terms, interactive films are a form of a digital filmmaking where viewers influence the story through their decisions, which are usually implemented by branching paths, clickable elements, and immersive features. For filmmakers, this gives them a chance to be more creative and experiment with multiple outcomes. And for viewers, it gives them agency. They now have control over the story, which makes them feel like they are a more important part of the plot. Furthermore, it can also encourage viewers for multiple viewing.
Should I go in and check it out?
Following a similar approach as Choose Your Own Adventure books and interactive specials, British filmmaker Paul Rashid's new film, The Run, experiments with choice-based gameplay and multiple endings. Screening at London's Genesis Cinema for 2 months, the movie follows a fitness influencer's ill-fated run in the Italian countryside. It stars Roxanne McKee as Xana, who encounters 4 masked killers on her run, with cameos from Italian veterans like horror director Dario Argento and the original Django actor Franco Nero, and the viewers get to decide whether she lives or dies.
And then the other interactivity is that there are 20 different ways you can die along the way, and there are multiple different locations and storylines and subplots that you can uncover. So it's something that you kind of need to play a few times to really get the full scope of the story.
While the movie is available to stream and play on Android and iOS systems, the cinema is currently hosting it as a theatrical experience. Audiences are handed glow sticks that they can raise whenever the film's characters need to make a decision.
I was Matt back home. So, if you want to call me that. or Mateo works, you know.
The cinema staff members serve as hosts and ask the viewers to raise their glow sticks in favor of the decision they feel can ensure the character's survival. Notably, the filmmaker has previously helmed other interactive films such as Hello, Stranger, and The Gallery. The Run continues to screen at Genesis Cinema in London until December 31st.
He says an attack, a shot, and left him to die like an animal.
As if things weren't complicated enough already.
There's only one option for me.
But this isn't the first interactive film to grip cinema.
Bandersnatch.
Bander what? Bandersnatch.
Bandersnatch is a unique Black Mirror story in that it's interactive. You, the viewer, get to decide what's going to happen.
Black Mirror, Bandersnatch is a popular example wherein viewers get to make choices for the protagonist, Stefan, a young programmer in 1984. These choices, which appear at intervals, determine the plot's direction and can lead to multiple different endings. For those unaware, it was designed with several story paths, and viewers can finish a full playout in about 40 minutes.
It lets you see the bigger picture. Stefan, you're worrying me.
Leave Stefan out of this.
Leave Stefan. Your fate has been dictated.
Oh, it's a bad situation here. Do I go up and face the mountain lion, or do I take my chances with the abyss? My adventure is up to you.
You vs. Wild is yet another example. In this interactive series, viewers get to make key decisions to help host Bear Grylls survive, thrive, and complete missions in the harshest environments on Earth.
A whopper. So what's it gonna be? Eat it or leave it? You decide.
Oh, I seems to have them more often. Good afternoon. Any messages?
Could there be?
No, but I thought I might as well ask you. Life's so full of delightful surprises.
But the film that is credited to be the world's first interactive movie is Kino Automat. Released in 1967, the movie is created by director Raduz Chinchera, and it featured a live host who paused the film at key moments so the audience could vote on narrative choices. As intentional irony, the film featured only one ending. While interactive films are often part of video games, it's only now that cinephiles are being offered the same agency in movies. It will be interesting to see how the hybrid of film and video games will shape up storytelling in cinema.
Fashion lovers often go the extra mile to own popular labels in their closet. And this applies to not just outfits, but also accessories like bags, jewelry, and more. However, in the recent past, luxury labels have also expanded their collection to repurpose everyday items as luxe goods. Confused? Watch our next story to know more.
Everyday products are luxury brands' new go-to luxe goods. From Prada to Balenciaga and Hermes, celebrated luxury labels are expanding their collections to incorporate different versions of everyday products, but at exorbitantly high price. The most recent example of this is Prada's safety pin brooch. The crochet safety pin brooch comes in 3 color combinations: light blue, pink, and orange. It appears to be a regular safety pin with an expensive Prada twist. That twist is essentially a colorful crochet cord detail on one end and a signature logo triangle charm hanging on the other end. The brooch costs approximately $775 or approximately rupees 69,000. This, however, isn't the first time the Italian luxury brand has grabbed attention for selling overly priced products. Earlier this year, the brand faced significant backlash for selling open-toed leather sandals or kolhapuri-style sandals for $1,200. The brand was also criticized for not crediting India for the design initially. And Prada isn't the only one being criticized for its pricing. In the past, several other brands have repackaged everyday products as luxe goods. Gucci once launched silver paper clip priced at over $100. As part of its lifestyle and decor collections, the brand has also offered items such as a 440 pet leash. Another label that has time and again grabbed eyeballs for its pricing is Balenciaga. Its version of the common blue reusable shopping bag grabbed attention for its outrageous pricing. Some other controversial products include a towel skirt and a lunchbox for $790. French luxury giant Louis Vuitton launched a bag shaped like a paint can, while Italy's Moschino sold purses in the shape of orange juice cartons. But if you think the pricing is too high, you aren't alone. while the everyday appropriation strategy allows luxury houses to reach a broader audience, including millennials and Gen Z consumers, and to tap into the market's desire for exclusive luxury consumption. It's also become a topic of discussion on social media. The jaw-dropping pricing of these products has often left the internet in shock, with many terming it delusional and questioning as to where the labels draw the line between costing and exclusivity.
There's no escaping it. The preppy knit is back and it's everywhere this winter. The prep revival has been brewing for a while, and now it's officially on the runway, on the streets, and all over your feed. So as we welcome winter, we're also welcoming a whole new wave of preppy cool. Let's dive into the styles making the biggest splash this season.
The scholarly vibe is no longer nerdy. It's now the moment. Rugby shirts, loafers, pleated minis, they've all moved from classrooms to red carpets. Preppy has dropped the rules and picked up attitude. Think Duetchi's bold prep meets provocative looks, or Alexa Chung's effortlessly British charm, and even Zendaya, who can make a sweater vest feel like couture. It's less costume, more cool girl energy. If you want in without feeling like you're heading to homeroom, start simple with a preppy knit. Argyle sweaters, V-necks, cute button-up cardigans, take your pick. Just look at Celine's resort collection by Michael Ryder, where cardigans were thrown over shoulders like Hailey Bieber heading to a post-Pilates brunch. The V-neck jumper, once overshadowed by the crew neck, is having a full-on comeback. Its sharp neckline makes it a dream for layering, which we saw at the Rose Collection showcase, where silhouettes felt like something Kendall Jenner would wear on an off-duty coffee run. Meanwhile, at Fendi, the V-neck got a tailored upgrade, clean, crisp, and totally red carpetable in a Dakota Johnson minimalist way. Then comes the star print of the season, Argyle. Born in Scotland, loved by golfers, and now ruling runways. At Kitey, Argyle turned edgy paired with vinyl pants, which gave a very Bella Hadid in her downtown mood. Dior paired it with tartan for a full Scottish homage, while Celine kept it classic over roll necks. The cardigan, once the grandma sweater, is now high fashion's favorite comeback story. Ever since Miu Miu revived it in 2023, celebrities haven't stopped wearing it. At Chanel, plunging cardigans were styled with tweed skirts, practically screaming Sydney Sweeney chic. Meanwhile, Ralph Lauren leaned all the way into prep, ruffled collars and layered knits. And finally, the cable knit the Winter Star. Once made for sailors conquering icy seas, now worn by everyone from Chris Evans to Aaliyah Bhatt, pairing them with silk skirts. Designers everywhere are reimagining them as oversized, cropped, textured. Whether thrifted or designer, the cable knit is cozy, chic, and here to stay. So, whether you're into Argyle, dramatic V-necks, or the humble cardigan's glow-up, this winter's preppy renaissance has something for everyone.
Time now for your weekly update of the latest OTT releases to satiate all your binging needs for the weekend.
You guys, I have an idea.
Okay, let me understand this. You want us to make you into an old man so you can get a job as Santa Claus at the...
Tis the season to binge-watch Christmas movies. And if you are in the mood for some holiday cheer, then My Secret Santa can be your pick.
Merry Christmas to all! And to all a good night!
Helmed by Michael Rohl, the movie stars Alexandra Breckenridge, Ryan Eggold, and Tia Mowry in key roles. But this one isn't your regular holiday pick.
Right now. Merry Christmas, everyone! I'm just not dating.
Got it.
After losing her job, a desperate single mother resorts to disguising herself as an elderly man to get hired as a local ski resort's Santa Claus for the holidays. Things become complicated when the resort manager begins to suspect her, and she falls in love with the owner's handsome son.
Hey,
What are you doing here?
My daughter's taking lessons.
Well, if you change your mind about drinking hot chocolate, you know where to find me.
He is really cute. Oh, I hadn't noticed. Cute? No.
The online reaction has been amazing.
Oh.
The people here sure do seem to love him.
I don't think this is a good idea anymore.
Of course it is. Everything okay in there? All good. Out in a minute. Good.
అంతకంటే బాగుంది మనం కూడా ఇలాంటి వీడియోని చేయించుకుంటాను
A wedding might seem to be the happiest day for a couple, but the days leading up to it can be chaotic, messy, and memorable. And the great pre-wedding show captures all that and more. Streaming on Z5, the great pre-wedding show takes you to the chaotic world of pre-wedding photography. A young couple navigates this time, facing unexpected hurdles and family drama as they try to capture their perfect moments before tying the knot. The Telugu slice of life film stars Vladimir and Tina Sravya in key roles.
కానీ ఈ మండలంలోనే మనది బెస్ట్ ప్రీ వెడ్డింగ్ వీడియో అవ్వాలి.
ఈ మండలం మొత్తంలో ప్రీ వెడ్డింగ్ అయినా వెడ్డింగ్ అయినా ఏం మాట్లాడుతున్నావురా? మన దగ్గర చేయించుకుంటారన్నా. తీసిన ఫుటేజ్ మొత్తం అందులోనే ఉందిరా.
Don't you want to do other things this summer? Use the pool or ride that bike we got you or anything other than just sitting in this house all day working on your plays.
No.
Okay.
I'll be at the door at 9:45. Thanks.
Griffin in Summer had its theatrical release last year, but it's now streaming on OTT platform. Written and directed by Nicholas Collier, it is a coming-of-age comedy-drama film. The movie focuses on a precocious 14-year-old playwright who develops an intense crush on a 25-year-old handyman his mother hires for the summer.
Do you know how to, move things?
That good?
The light-hearted movie had its world premiere at the Tribeca Festival, and it stars Everett Blunk, Owen Teague, Abby Ryder-Fortson, Catherine Newton, and Melanie Linsky in key roles.
Tyler's a hack. Is Brad here? I just really need to see him.
So this is all for your school play?
No, this is for my play. It's about people who buy into the idea of love and then just discover it's actually a black hole of betrayal and despair.
Fun.
That's all we have for you in this episode of WION Club. You can join this club by following us on any of these social media platforms. Tell us what you want to see on the show and the celebrities you would like us to feature. Until next week, it's me, Diksha, signing off. Keep watching WION. World is one.
मेरे भाई का हत्यारा
Where darkness hides behind every corner. Where the truth is stranger than fiction. A show that dives deep into the stories which shock and mystify. Unsolved murders. Psychopaths who defy explanation. International war crimes. And millions swindled in financial fraud. The victims, the accused, and the sinister plot. Prime Crime is your front row seat to darkness. From the bustling trading floors of Wall Street to the vibrant exchanges of Asian stock markets, WION breaks it down for you to make sense of what's happening, as we reveal the key factors behind events, strategic battles, and the game-changing business decisions that shape the world. We bring you all of this and more on World Business Watch.
Rashtriya Swayamsevak Sangh. To some, it's an extreme ideology. To others, it's the very soul of India. To some, it's rebellion. To others, it's a principle of nation building. Coming soon to challenge perceptions in RSS Centenary Year, Kesariya at 100.
where darkness hides behind every corner, where the truth is stranger than fiction. A show that dives deep into the stories which shock and mystify. Unsolved murders, psychopaths who defy explanation, international war crimes, and millions swindled in financial fraud. The victims, the accused, and the sinister plot. Crime is your front row seat to darkness. WION, India's global voice, the channel that brings you the biggest stories from across the world through India's lens. Now available in more than 190 countries worldwide. Because we believe that the world is one. Watch us in Africa, Europe, USA and Canada, South America, Asia Pacific, Middle East and North African regions. Also available on these digital platforms across the world. WION, World is One.
Three important things for the development, sustainable development. One is ethics, economy, ecology and environment. Politics is an instrument of socio-economic reform. 95% I am doing social.
Rashtriya Swayamsevak Sangh. To some, it's an extreme ideology. To others, it's the very soul of India. To some, it's rebellion. To others, it's a principle of nation building. Coming soon to challenge perceptions in RSS Centenary Year, Kesariya at 100.
Where darkness hides behind every corner, where the truth is stranger than fiction. A show that dives deep into the stories which shock and mystify. Unsolved murders, psychopaths who defy explanation, international war crimes, and millions swindled in financial fraud. The victims, the accused, and the sinister plot. Crime is your front row seat to darkness.
Vielleicht nur als Imposant.
WION, India's global voice, the channel that brings you the biggest stories from across the world through India's lens. Now available in more than 190 countries worldwide. Because we believe that the world is one. Watch us in Africa, Europe, USA and Canada, South America, Asia Pacific, Middle East and North African regions. Also available on these digital platforms across the world. WION, World is One. From the bustling trading floors of Wall Street to the vibrant exchanges of Asian stock markets, WION breaks it down for you to make sense of what's happening. As we reveal the key factors behind events, strategic battles, and the game-changing business decisions that shape the world. We bring you all of this and more on World Business Watch. WION, India's global voice, the channel that brings you the biggest stories from across the world through India's lens. Now available in more than 190 countries worldwide. Because we believe that the world is one. Watch us in Africa, Europe, USA and Canada, South America, Asia Pacific, Middle East and North African regions. Also available on these digital platforms across the world. WION. World is one.
Hello and welcome. You're watching WION World is One. My name is Mohammed Saleh, and let's start this broadcast by taking a quick look as to what is making headlines at this hour. The Russian President Vladimir Putin says that Moscow is in fact working towards a peaceful settlement in Ukraine, and the Indian Prime Minister said that India is not neutral but is on the side of peace. This is the two leaders issue a joint statement in New Delhi.
अटूट प्रतिबद्धता के लिए मैं राष्ट्रपति पुतिन का, मेरे मित्र का हृदय से आभार व्यक्त करता हूं.
The Indian Prime Minister has said that India and Russia will fight against terror and refers to Operation Sindoor, a military action against Pakistan, when Moscow had bagged New Delhi. And the American President Donald Trump's administration calls on Japan and South Korea to do more to support Taiwan's defense from China and says that it is necessary to deter adversaries and to protect the first island chain. The French President Emmanuel Macron has called for unity between Europe and the United States in a speech at the Sichuan University in China, and has said that the US needs for peace to be robust and long-lasting. The Union Home Minister Amit Shah speaks to the Aviation Minister after mass cancellation of Indigo flights. This as the DGCA eases pilot duty rules. And India's stock benchmarks close higher, led by domestic rate-sensitive financials, and this comes after the central bank lowers the key interest rates by nearly 25 basis points. And England bounced back in the Ashes pink ball test after taking the crucial wicket of Australian captain Stephen Smith. A brilliant catch by Will Jacks means that Smith is dismissed for 61.
Just going to check upstairs in the umpire signal.
Now, India and Russia are stepping up efforts to deepen bilateral trade as both sides are exploring some new areas of cooperation. The two nations have announced some dedicated pacts on mobility, health and energy. Now, the Indian Prime Minister laid out the economic cooperation plan till 2030, and this includes multiple agreements on labour and shipbuilding. The Indian Prime Minister also said that this will provide major employment opportunities, and the two nations will also work towards cooperation and skill building. Now, Narendra Modi also touched upon the partnership in critical minerals as a means to balance global supply chains, and he also hailed ties with Russia across global platforms like BRICS and the SCO.
भारत और रूस के बीच यूएन G20, ब्रिक्स, SCO तथा अन्य मंचों पर करीबी सहयोग रहा है। करीबी तालमेल के साथ आगे बढ़ते हुए हम इन सभी मंचों पर अपना संवाद और सहयोग जारी रखेंगे। एक्सेलेंसी, मुझे पूरा विश्वास है कि आने वाले समय में हमारी मित्रता हमें ग्लोबल चैलेंजेस का सामना करने की शक्ति देगी और यही भरोसा हमारे साझा भविष्य को और समृद्ध करेगा।
Meanwhile, President Putin also hailed the trade ties with India, boasting of a 12% trade turnover surge. He also highlighted the partnership in clean and nuclear energy, stating the growing use of local currency during transactions.
We are also seeing successful partnership in energy. Russia is a reliable supplier of oil, gas, coal, and everything that is required for the development of India's energy. We are ready to continue uninterrupted shipments of fuel for the fast-growing Indian economy.
The bilateral merchandise trade hit nearly $69 billion last year, a five-fold jump since 2021, and this has been driven overwhelmingly by the discounted Russian crude, fertilizers and raw materials. But the gap remains pretty stark. Exporters say that the imbalance reflects the untapped potential in sectors like pharmaceuticals, engineering goods, electronics and tech services. The trade bodies see a window for Indian industries to expand high-value exports and also to push towards the $100 billion trade target that's been set for 2030. And WION Siddhant has been tracking the story very closely for us and has sent us this report from New Delhi. Listen in.
Big day for India-Russia relationship. I'm standing just outside the Hyderabad House where earlier today the Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi and the Russian President Vladimir Putin held talks. The key outcome has been the economic roadmap 2030 that calls for balanced trade. That means reduction in the trade deficit. That means more exports from India to Russia. Focus also on health sector with announcements and establishment of a factory which will be India-Russia cooperation, and this factory will be producing medicines. Here in India, there will be a factory that will be producing urea. Also, the support by the Russian side to make in India defense, and also assurances that when it comes to reliable energy supply, the Indian side can depend on India. There were other initiatives that have been announced, which includes that the Russian side will be training Indian seafarers in Arctic navigation, and the Indian side announcing e-visa facilities for Russian tourists for 30 days. So a slew of announcements, but a big message of strong India-Russia relationship that has been time-tested. But today, there was not only a re-emphasis on that, but a focus on giving it further impetus at a time of major geopolitical changes. With video journalist Neeraj Patel, Siddhant Sibal for WION in New Delhi.
And also joining us on the broadcast, we've got our correspondent Dharamjot Kaur, who's joining us live from New Delhi as well. Now, Dharamjot, tell us the latest in terms of what has, of course, been happening in the meetings that the Indian Prime Minister has had with the Russian President.
Well, Saleh, I lost you for a bit over there. We clearly have jammers in the area as the two leaders will be arriving here at Bharat Mandapam any moment soon. But just to quickly reiterate what this entire bilateral conversation was about, as my colleague Siddhant Sibal rightly mentioned. Again, what's going to happen here at the business forum today? This has been the India-Russia business forum that has been going on since yesterday, which is primarily focused on introducing and engaging in conversations between Russian and Indian industry leaders and business personnel across large and small and medium sector enterprises. Now, the biggest reason for this is the trade balance that both countries have been talking about, particularly India, which wants a greater opportunity and a greater bandwidth to export its goods across industries to the Russian market. Having said that, we also heard from the Russian President Putin in the press conference just a short while ago, where he mentioned how the Indian Prime Minister had brought up this particular conversation, how the Russian governance has taken note of it, and how both sides will now be working towards ensuring a greater balance in the trade deficit that India has with Russia in terms of bilateral trade. Now, the other sectors that have been talked about since yesterday, and will also be a conversation for day 2 of this business forum, Saleh, is primarily all the sectors of India, including telecom, pharma, other consumer products that Indian goods can grow in with respect to exporting. The goal, as you mentioned, is $100 billion of bilateral trade by 2030. How much does India increase its export to Russia in the next 5 years? That is the big issue to watch out for.
I think that's going to be the focus of what will unfold. Thank you very much indeed, Dharamjot Kaur, for joining us from outside of Bharat Mandapam and getting us all those updates there. Now, the American President Donald Trump's envoys are to meet with the Ukrainian negotiator for a third time in a span of 2 weeks to press forth his plan to try and end the war in Ukraine. According to the US officials, Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner will meet with Rustem Umerov in the Miami area for dinner. And the gathering, which will be closed to the press, comes just 2 days after the duo had met with Russian President Vladimir Putin for 5 extended hours in Moscow. The Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, in a late-night address, said that the task on hand is to obtain complete information about what has been said in Russia. In a dig at his Russian counterpart, he said that it is to be known as to what are the reasons Vladimir Putin has found to prolong this war. Now, Volodymyr Zelensky has also added that Ukraine is prepared for any possible developments. When questioned by reporters on whether Witkoff and Kushner could get a sense of what Vladimir Putin genuinely wants, Trump said that he wants to end the war. But Putin has shown no public signs of budging from his position, as Russia has made some slow but steady progress seizing land in eastern Ukraine. Now, Putin previously had warned the Ukrainian troops must withdraw from the Donbas region or Russia will seize it, rejecting any compromise to bring about an end to the war. At present, Moscow controls about 85% of the Donbas region, and Trump had previously mused that Russia will inevitably win more land and that Ukraine would be better off settling now than to wait. But Ukraine's allies are against the idea. The British Prime Minister Keir Starmer said that Kiev should be in the strongest possible position in the conflict, particularly during the negotiations for a ceasefire or lasting peace.
We have to remember that so far as Europe is concerned, that the one aggressor in Ukraine, and that is Putin. This war could end tomorrow if Russia withdrew and stopped their aggression.
German Chancellor Friedrich Merz has also rejected the US plan to pay out Russian frozen assets in the EU to the United States. He said that this money must actually go to Ukraine.
Das ist eine europäische Angelegenheit.
This is a European matter, and I see no way of economically transferring the money that we then mobilize to the United States of America. And the American government knows this. It is also the negotiating position of the German government, the representatives who negotiate on our behalf in the various formats. And that is also the consensus at European level. There are no differences whatsoever on this. This money must flow to Ukraine and help Ukraine.
Geld muss der Ukraine zufließen.
And also on the diplomatic front, Turkey, a key broker, has summoned envoys from both Ukraine and Russia after Kiev claimed drone attacks on Russian-linked tankers in the Black Sea. Now, the American President Donald Trump's 28-point draft peace plan had caught Europe by surprise. Reports have now emerged which detail the trust deficit between Washington and the European capitals. The German news weekly Der Spiegel claims that it has obtained written notes of a conference call amongst the European leaders this week. And during the call, the French President Emmanuel Macron and the German Chancellor Friedrich Merz expressed skepticism about the US's role in peace negotiations. And during the call, the magazine quotes that Macron apparently said that there is a chance that the United States will betray Ukraine on territory without any clarity on security guarantees. German Chancellor Friedrich Merz expressed similar fears, and according to the report, the German Chancellor warned Zelensky to be very careful in the coming days. Referring to the United States, he told Zelensky that they are playing games with both you and us. The Finnish President, Alexander Stubbs, has expressed distrust of the US Special Envoy Steve Witkoff and Trump's son-in-law, Jared Kushner. The Der Spiegel reported Stubbs as saying, "We cannot leave Ukraine and Volodymyr alone with these guys." Further, the NATO chief Mark Rutte reportedly told his European allies on the call that they must protect the Ukrainian president. While the German weekly Der Spiegel has not named the author of the notes, it is said that these were notes on the call and not a verbatim transcript. Now, the Russian presidential envoy Kirill Dmitriev has reacted to the leaked chat, slamming Merz in particular. He said that the German chancellor is not even in the game. Dmitriev said that Merz disqualified himself by warmongering peace, sabotage, unrealistic proposals, and Western civilization suicide, migration, and stubborn stupidity. Last month, Washington had unveiled a 28-point draft peace plan to halt the war in Ukraine. European allies had welcomed the US's peace efforts, but made it clear that it had given to Moscow's maximalist demands on Ukrainian territory. And since then, a flurry of diplomacy has followed, with Ukrainian and Russian delegations meeting Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner to strike a peace deal. However, both sides are yet to arrive at an agreement. Now, the American military has conducted yet another strike on what it claims was a drug trafficking boat in the Pacific, killing at least 4 men on board. According to the U.S. Southern Command, the strike targeted a vessel in international waters operated by a designated terror organization. The intelligence has also confirmed that the vessel was carrying illicit narcotics and was transiting along a well-known narco-trafficking route in Eastern Pacific. And following this, the Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro called for the support of the people of Brazil to protect the sovereignty of the country. Furthermore, he also highlighted China's political support for the country. He warned that if they have to resort to armed struggle, then it will be a fight for peace. Venezuela's Vice President Delcy Rodriguez has asserted that the country's airspace is under Venezuelan control, rejecting U.S. President Donald Trump's threat to close down the Venezuelan airspace. He further said that Venezuela will not accept orders or threats from any foreign power. Meanwhile, a naval admiral, Frank Mitch Bradley, commanding the U.S. military strikes on the alleged drug boats in the Caribbean, has denied that the U.S. Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth, had ordered his subordinates to kill everybody on board an alleged drug smuggling vessel during a briefing to the lawmakers. And according to a report by the Wall Street Journal, Pete Hegseth asked Admiral Alvin Halsey, the head of the U.S. Southern Command, to resign after months of discord. Reports also suggest that the tensions between Hegseth and Halsey began shortly after Trump's inauguration and then intensified when Halsey had expressed concerns about the legality of the lethal strikes on the alleged drug boats in the Caribbean. Furthermore, the United States and the Panamanian military personnel conducted joint combat exercises at the former U.S. military base Fort Sherman in Colon on Panama's Caribbean coast and the ongoing tensions with Venezuela. Another development, Cuba has said that it is prioritizing the fight against narcotics trafficking in the Caribbean and continues to share information with the U.S. Coast Guard, despite the escalating tensions and the increased U.S. military presence in the region. Now, Cuba has, however, criticized the U.S. strikes in the Caribbean region and has said that Washington is seeking a violent overthrow of the Venezuelan government. The Pakistani government has barred the PTI founder Imran Khan's sister Uzma from meeting him at the Adiala prison. The decision comes after she was allowed to meet him on the 2nd of December, following concerns raised by the PTI about his health. The Pakistan's Information and Broadcasting Minister Ataullah Tarar, flanked by Minister Azam Nazir Tarar, announced the decision in Islamabad, and he warned that strict action will be taken against anyone disturbing law and order outside of the Adiala prison. The minister accused the PTI leaders of spreading false claims about Imran Khan's health, adding that Uzma Khan herself had confirmed the former Pakistani minister was safe. He alleged that the PTI leaders were feeding propaganda to foreign media and that his three sisters were creating a law and order situation outside of the prison. He added that such spectacles will no longer be tolerated. Now, the Pakistani Law Minister Azam Nazir Tarar clarified that restrictions on meetings are being enforced under Pakistan's prison rules. He stressed that visitation rights are determined by the jail superintendent, who can stop meetings if they threaten public order. Meanwhile, Imran Khan has filed a plea in the Islamabad High Court seeking permission for medical tests within 3 days. He has requested for monthly checkups at the Shaukat Khanum Hospital and that reports should be shared with his family and the court. Furthermore, Khyber Pakhtunkhwa's Chief Minister Suhail Afridi has said that he is not being allowed to meet with Imran Khan for the 9th time at the Adiala prison. He also said that heavy police deployment has prevented his access despite a scheduled meeting time, calling the denial of permission as illegal and a contempt of court. He's also vowed a stronger response. In a statement shared on social media, Imran Khan accused the Army Chief, Field Marshal Asim Munir, of destroying the constitution and subjecting him and his wife to severe mental torture. He claimed that he'd been kept in solitary confinement for a period of about 4 weeks without meeting anyone, and the former Prime Minister, who has remained in prison since August 2023, faces multiple cases, including corruption and terrorism, following his ouster through a no-confidence motion in 2022. The chaos unfolded in the southern Indian state of Tamil Nadu as a controversy broke out over the Kartikai Deepotsavam festival, an annual celebration of light over darkness marked by the lighting of a lamp at the Deepa Mandapam of the Subramania Swami temple. Now, historically, the temple hill has been a haven of religious coexistence and communal harmony, and it hosts the Subramania Swami temple, Kashi Vishwanathan temple and the Sikandar Badshah Dargah. And Chanel took fashion underground in New York as creative chief Matthew Blasey staged a buzzy runway show on a real subway platform. The Métiers d'Art 2025 show turned a secret Manhattan station into a high-fashion hotspot. We'll leave you with these images. Thanks for watching.
No concept of what was going to walk. No. I mean, other than that it was in a subway station, that kind of does imply like a woman on the go, but it felt like this like slurry of kind of fleeting hot moments. You know, when you're in the subway and you go, oh wow, where is she going? Where is she? I wanted to go with them. I wanted to like get up and be like, I'm also on the subway. No, I believed in it.
where darkness hides behind every corner, where the truth is stranger than fiction. A show that dives deep into the stories which shock and mystify. Unsolved murders, psychopaths who defy explanation, international war crimes, and millions swindled in financial fraud. The victims, the accused, and the sinister plot. Crime is your front row seat to darkness. WION, India's global voice. The channel that brings you the biggest stories from across the world through India's lens. Now available in more than 190 countries worldwide. Because we believe that the world is one. Watch us in Africa, Europe, USA and Canada, South America, Asia Pacific, Middle East and North African regions. Also available on these digital platforms across the world. WION, World is One. From the bustling trading floors of Wall Street to the vibrant exchanges of Asian stock markets, WION breaks it down for you to make sense of what's happening. As we reveal the key factors behind events, strategic battles, and the game-changing business decisions that shape the world. We bring you all of this and more on World Business Watch.
Rashtriya Swayamsevak Sangh. To some, it's an extreme ideology. To others, it's the very soul of India. To some, it's rebellion. To others, it's a principle of nation building. Coming soon to challenge perceptions in RSS Centenary Year, Kesariya at 100.
Three important things for the development, sustainable development. One is ethics, economy, ecology and environment. Politics is an instrument of socio-economic reform. 95% I am doing social.
It focuses on the opportunities of the Indian economy, and we want to familiarize our economic operators with these opportunities so that both parties can satisfy the needs of each other. It is essential since those are solid and multifaceted ties between Russian and Indian businesses that are one of the main pillars of special and privileged strategic partnership of our countries. Indeed, Russia and India are long-time trade partners. Trade volumes are growing at a sustainable pace, and over the past 3 years we saw a record increase of up to 80%. As a result, last year the Russian-Indian trade volume reached $64 billion. At the same time, it's obvious that there are vast opportunities for further increase of bilateral trade and investment. Russia and India have big consumer markets, and an impressive economic, technological and resource potential. Once again, I would like to stress that under the leadership of His Excellency Modi, India is conducting an absolutely independent and sovereign policy, and at the same time achieves very good results in the economic field. Today, the Indian economy is one of the fastest growing in the world. Figures speak for themselves. Over a decade, the GDP of the country has almost doubled, and in terms of the purchasing power parity, it increased by 2.5 times. Thanks to the sound economic policy and such landmark initiatives by Prime Minister Modi as Make in India program, India is strengthening its technological sovereignty. The Indian processing and light industry, IT sector, and pharmaceuticals take leading positions in the world. In Russia, we study the Indian experience with interest, and it is used in implementation of our national programs of import substitution and localization of products with high value added. The leadership of two countries, and Prime Minister Modi and I in person, pay particular attention to deepening multifaceted economic ties between Russia and India. Following today's negotiations, we adopted the program for the development of Russian and Indian economic cooperation. This comprehensive document aims at making sure that we can achieve the goal Mr. Modi and I set for ourselves, so that we can increase the trade volume by 2030 to $100 billion. It requires most active efforts of business communities from both countries aimed at further expanding and diversification of trade volumes and building balanced structure of reciprocal trade. Given the significant trade profits of Russia, the Russian business, our companies, are ready to manifold increase the purchase from India of a widest range of goods and services. We are interested in it, dear friends, because it makes our economy more resilient. From their part, Indian entrepreneurs, as was demonstrated by the forum, are equally interested in trading with Russia. They have something to offer, so the synergy is obvious. So it would only be logical that projects contributing to greater supplies of Indian products to Russia receive priority attention in implementation of the new export support program recently adopted by the government of Mr. Modi. From my part, I would like to assure the business circles that all useful initiatives aimed at development of mutual economic exchanges will be further supported by Russian ministries and authorities. No doubt, the key role in creating conditions for a truly free trade between our countries is played by the Intergovernmental Commission. It is important that together in close cooperation we eliminate the Romanian customs and administrative barriers which stay in the way of reciprocal movement of goods, services and capitals. In this regard, a strong impetus, as it seems, could be given by rapid signature of a preferential trade agreement between India and the Eurasian Economic Union. Free trade is unthinkable without a resilient system of bilateral settlements and reliable payment and insurance mechanisms. Tangible advantages are offered by the use of national currencies. It makes it possible to ensure uninterrupted financial transactions regardless of external developments. And obviously, accessibility of transport and logistics communications plays a crucial role. A lot is already being done in this regard. Implementation of the project to create the corridor south-north from Russia and Belarus to the Indian Ocean is ongoing, and infrastructure modernization of the Northern Sea route is being modernized in order to use it for the supplies of Indian goods to the world markets. Obviously, the cooperation of our two countries should not be limited to trade alone. We should move on and enhance our industrial cooperation. Together we should create new cutting-edge products and strengthen technological alliances. first and foremost in such advanced and knowledge-intensive sectors as digitalization, autonomous robotics, pharmaceuticals, including synthesis of efficient pharmaceuticals and production of high-tech medicine equipment. We are ready for broad cooperation with India in the field of artificial intelligence, where our countries have already advanced a lot. Russia is interested in participating in the, as I've just mentioned it to Prime Minister, we are ready to participate in the Summit on Artificial Intelligence, scheduled to take place in India in February 2026. We will send a representative delegation. In conclusion, I would like to stress once again, further strengthening of Russian-Indian trade and investment ties and close cooperation between business communities effectively contributes to economic growth and development and greater well-being of our citizens, and therefore it meets the fundamental interests of our countries and peoples. I would like to wish to the participants and organizers of the forum all the best. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Excellency, for sharing your vision on the immense potential of bilateral trade. Excellencies, now I respectfully invite Honorable Prime Minister of India, Shri Narendra Modi ji, to deliver his concluding remarks.
Your Excellency, my friend राष्ट्रपति पुतिन, भारत और रूस बिजनेस के सभी लीडर्स, देवी और सज्जनों, नमस्कार। इंडिया रशिया बिजनेस फोरम, मैं समझता हूँ कि राष्ट्रपति पुतिन का ये बड़ा महत्वपूर्ण इनिशिएटिव रहा कि इतना बड़ा डेलीगेशन लेकर के आज इस कार्यक्रम का हिस्सा बने हैं और आप सबका मैं हृदय से बहुत बहुत स्वागत करता हूं और मेरा भी आप सबके बीच आना एक बहुत प्रसन्नता का अवसर है। इस फोरम से जुड़ने के लिए और अपने बहुमूल्य विचार साझा करने के लिए मैं मेरे मित्र राष्ट्रपति पुतिन का हृदय से बहुत बहुत आभार व्यक्त करता हूं। बिजनेस के लिए सिंप्लीफाइड प्रिडिक्टेबल मैकेनिज्म बनाए जा रहे हैं। भारत और यूरेशियन इकोनॉमिक यूनियन के बीच एफटीए पर चर्चा शुरू हो गई है और साथियों, हम अलग अलग विषयों को लेकर के भी, जैसा अभी पीयूष जी ने उल्लेख किया था और जैसा राष्ट्रपति जी ने जो संभावनाओं का वर्णन किया है, उसे देखते हुए हम बहुत कम समय में बहुत बड़े लक्ष्य हासिल कर सकते हैं। बिजनेस हो या डिप्लोमेसी, किसी भी साझेदारी की नींव आपसी विश्वास है। भारत रूस संबंधों की सबसे बड़ी शक्ति यही विश्वास है। ये हमारे साझे प्रयासों को दिशा भी देता है और गति भी देता है। यही वह लॉन्च पैड है जो हमें नए सपनों, नई आकांक्षाओं की उड़ान भरने के लिए प्रेरित करता है। पिछले वर्ष राष्ट्रपति पुतिन और मैंने 2030 तक द्विपक्षीय व्यापार को $100 बिलियन का उस लक्ष्य को पार करने का हमने निर्धार किया था। लेकिन कल से मेरी जो राष्ट्रपति पुतिन से बात हो रही है और जिस प्रकार के पोटेंशियल नजर आ रहे हैं, मुझे नहीं लगता कि हमें 2030 तक इंतजार करना पड़ेगा। मैं साफ देख रहा हूं, हम उस लक्ष्य को समय से पहला पूरा करने के संकल्प के साथ आगे बढ़ रहे हैं और मेरा विश्वास बढ़ रहा है। टैरिफ और नॉन टैरिफ बैरियर्स को कम किया जा रहा है, लेकिन साथियों, इन प्रयासों की असली शक्ति आप जैसे बिजनेस लीडर्स हैं। आपकी ऊर्जा, आपका इनोवेशन और आपका एम्बिशन, यही हमारे संयुक्त भविष्य को आकार देते हैं। फ्रेंड, पिछले 11 वर्षों में भारत में जिस स्पीड और स्केल के साथ हमने बदलाव किए हैं वह अभूतपूर्व हैं। रिफॉर्म, परफॉर्म एंड ट्रांसफॉर्म, इस सिद्धांत पर चलते हुए भारत तेजी से विश्व की तीसरी सबसे बड़ी इकोनॉमी बनने की और आगे बढ़ रहा है। और 11 वर्षों की इस रिफॉर्म यात्रा में हम न थके हैं, हम न रुके हैं। हमारे संकल्प पहले से ज्यादा मजबूत हैं और हम लक्ष्य की दिशा में बड़े आत्मविश्वास के साथ बहुत तेज गति से आगे बढ़ रहे हैं। जीएसटी में नेक्स्ट जनरेशन रिफॉर्म और कंप्लायंसेस में कटौती, ऐसे कदम उठाए गए हैं ताकि ईज ऑफ डूइंग बिजनेस को बढ़ावा मिले। डिफेंस और स्पेस को प्राइवेट सेक्टर के लिए खोल दिया गया है। इससे इन सेक्टर्स में नए अवसर बने हैं। अब हम सिविल न्यूक्लियर सेक्टर में भी नई संभावनाओं के द्वार खोलने जा रहे हैं। ये केवल एडमिनिस्ट्रेटिव रिफॉर्म नहीं, बल्कि माइंडसेट रिफॉर्म्स हैं। इन रिफॉर्म्स के पीछे एक ही संकल्प है, विकसित भारत। फ्रेंड्स, कल और आज आपके बीच बहुत ही उपयोगी और सार्थक चर्चाएं हुई हैं। मुझे खुशी है कि भारत और रूस के सहयोग के सभी क्षेत्रों का इस बैठक में प्रतिनिधित्व किया गया है। आप सभी के सुझावों और प्रयासों के लिए मैं आपका हार्दिक अभिनंदन करता हूं। मेरी ओर से हमारे सहयोग को आगे बढ़ाने के लिए कुछ विचार आपके सामने मैं रखता हूं। पहला, लॉजिस्टिक्स और कनेक्टिविटी के क्षेत्र में आज की बैठक में राष्ट्रपति पुतिन और मैंने हमारे कनेक्टिविटी के पूरे पोटेंशियल को रियलाइज करने पर बल दिया है। आईएनएसटीसी या तो फिर नॉर्दर्न सी रूट यानी चेन्नई व्लादिवोस्टोक कॉरिडोर, इन पर हम आगे बढ़ने के लिए प्रतिबद्ध हैं। जल्द ही इस दिशा में प्रगति होगी। इससे ट्रांजिट टाइम घटेगा, कॉस्ट कम होगी और बिजनेस के लिए नए मार्केट्स खुलेंगे। डिजिटल टेक्नोलॉजी की ताकत के साथ हम कस्टम्स, लॉजिस्टिक्स और रेगुलेटरी सिस्टम को वर्चुअल ट्रेड कॉरिडोर से जोड़ सकते हैं। इससे कस्टम्स क्लियरेंस तेज होगा, पेपर वर्क घटेगा और कार्गो मूवमेंट अधिक सीमलेस बनेगा। दूसरा, मरीन प्रोडक्ट्स। हाल ही में रूस द्वारा भारत से डेयरी और मरीन प्रोडक्ट्स के निर्यात के लिए भारतीय कंपनियों की लिस्ट में विस्तार किया गया है। इससे भारत के एक्सपोर्टर्स के लिए नए अवसर बने हैं। भारत के हाई क्वालिटी मरीन प्रोडक्ट्स, वैल्यू एडेड सी फूड, प्रोसेस्ड फूड, इसकी बड़ी मात्रा में ग्लोबल डिमांड है। हम कोल्ड चेन लॉजिस्टिक्स, डीप सी फिशिंग और फिशिंग हार्बर्स के मॉडर्नाइजेशन में जॉइंट वेंचर और टेक्नोलॉजी पार्टनरशिप बना सकते हैं। इससे रूस की डोमेस्टिक डिमांड भी पूरी होगी और भारतीय उत्पादों को नए मार्केट भी मिलेंगे। तीसरा, ऑटोमोबाइल सेक्टर। भारत अफोर्डेबल, एफिशिएंट ईवीज, टू व्हीलर्स और सीएनजी मोबिलिटी सॉल्यूशंस में आज ग्लोबल लीडर है। रूस एडवांस मटेरियल का बड़ा प्रोड्यूसर है। हम मिलकर ईवी मैन्युफैक्चरिंग, ऑटोमोटिव कंपोनेंट्स और शेयर्ड मोबिलिटी टेक इसमें साझेदारी कर सकते हैं। इससे हम न केवल अपनी जरूरतों को पूरा कर सकेंगे, बल्कि ग्लोबल साउथ, विशेषकर अफ्रीका के विकास में भी योगदान दे सकते हैं। चौथा, फार्मा। भारत आज विश्व भर में किफायती मूल्यों पर उच्चतम क्वालिटी की दवाइयां सप्लाई कर रहा है। इसलिए भारत को फार्मेसी ऑफ द वर्ल्ड भी कहा जाता है। हम दोनों मिलकर जॉइंट वैक्सीन डेवलपमेंट, कैंसर थेरेपीज, रेडियो फार्मास्यूटिकल्स और एपीआई सप्लाई चेन में सहयोग कर सकते हैं। इससे हेल्थ केयर सिक्योरिटी भी बढ़ेगी और नई इंडस्ट्रीज भी विकसित होगी। पांचवा, टेक्सटाइल। भारत के पास नेचुरल फाइबर से लेकर टेक्निकल टेक्सटाइल तक विशाल क्षमता है। डिजाइन, हैंडीक्राफ्ट्स और कारपेट्स में हमारी वैश्विक पहचान है। रूस पॉलीमर और सिंथेटिक रॉ मटेरियल्स का बड़ा प्रोड्यूसर है। हम साथ मिलकर रेजिलिएंट टेक्सटाइल वैल्यू चेन बना सकते हैं। इसी तरह फर्टिलाइजर, सिरेमिक्स, सीमेंट मैन्युफैक्चरिंग और इलेक्ट्रॉनिक जैसे क्षेत्रों में भी सहयोग की कई संभावनाएं हैं। साथियों, सभी क्षेत्रों में सहयोग बढ़ाने में मैन पावर मोबिलिटी की महत्वपूर्ण भूमिका है। भारत आज दुनिया की स्किल कैपिटल के रूप में उभर रहा है। हमारा युवा टैलेंट टेक्नोलॉजी, इंजीनियरिंग, हेल्थ केयर, कंस्ट्रक्शन, लॉजिस्टिक्स हर क्षेत्र में ग्लोबल रिक्वायरमेंट्स को पूरा करने की क्षमता रखता है। रूस की डेमोग्राफिक और इकोनॉमिक प्रायोरिटीज को देखते हुए यह साझेदारी दोनों देशों के लिए अत्यंत उपयोगी है। जब हम भारत के टैलेंट को रूसी भाषा और सॉफ्ट स्किल में ट्रेनिंग देंगे तो हम मिलकर एक ऐसी रशिया रेडी वर्कफोर्स तैयार कर सकते हैं जो दोनों देशों की शेयर्ड प्रॉस्पेरिटी को गति देगी। फ्रेंड्स, आज हम अपने दोनों देशों के नागरिकों के लिए टूरिस्ट वीजा पर कई अहम हमने फैसले लिए हैं। इससे दोनों देशों के बीच टूरिज्म को बढ़ावा मिलेगा, टूर ऑपरेटर्स के लिए नए बिजनेस अपॉर्चुनिटीज बनेगी और रोजगार के नए अवसर खुलेंगे। फ्रेंड्स, आज भारत और रूस को इनोवेशन, को प्रोडक्शन और को क्रिएशन की नई यात्रा पर साथ चल रहे हैं। हमारा लक्ष्य आपसी व्यापार बढ़ाने तक सीमित नहीं है। हम पूरी मानवता की भलाई सुनिश्चित करना चाहते हैं। इसके लिए ग्लोबल चैलेंज का स्थायी समाधान तैयार करना है। भारत इस यात्रा में रूस के साथ कंधे से कंधा मिलाकर चलने के लिए पूरी तरह से तैयार है। मैं आप सबसे कहना चाहता हूं, कम मेक इन इंडिया, पार्टनर विथ इंडिया एंड टुगेदर लेट अस मेक फॉर द वर्ल्ड। इन्हीं शब्दों के साथ मैं राष्ट्रपति पुतिन और आप सभी का आभार व्यक्त करता हूं। बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद।
All right, so that, of course, is what the Indian Prime Minister had to say. Make in India, make with India, and make for the world. And he also touched upon many points of convergence that India and Russia have in terms of how to take this equation forward. Remember, this is a crucial visit by the Russian President Vladimir Putin to India. It is happening at a time of geopolitical flux. There are a lot of interesting things that are to be read into what is transpiring here, because a Russia-India equation has been one of the strongest and one of the most steadiest relationships in the world in the last 7 decades. And my colleague Dharamjot Kaur, who's been tracking all the developments very closely, is of course joining us with more updates on this. Dharamjot, we heard both the Indian Prime Minister and also the Russian President speak there in this joint press conference. Tell us of the highlights as to what has in fact been said in that joint press briefing there.
Well, a lot of big takeaways coming out of these comments here at the business forum. I'm right here outside the Bharat Mandapam, where the second day of the business forum, India-Russia business forum, is currently taking place. We clearly heard from both leaders making a lot of expansive comments in terms of how bilateral trade and cooperation between the two countries has a lot of scope to expand. A few key points first by the Indian Prime Minister, where he's spoken about how the logistics and connectivity sector has a lot of potential to expand. The Indian labour market, which can provide a lot of opportunities to India's skilled and semi-skilled workers with cooperation with Russia and working opportunities in Russia as well. Civil nuclear sector is another one that Prime Minister Narendra Modi talked about. We already know that Russia-India cooperation with respect to building one of India's largest nuclear infrastructure is also underway at the moment. Also, with respect to what the Russian President Vladimir Putin talked about, he also acknowledged and mentioned how both leaders have spoken about reaching a balance of sorts between bilateral trade. From what we have seen in the numbers so far, we are close to about $69 billion worth of bilateral trade between Russia and India. But India's contribution to that with respect to export is just around $5 billion. So clearly an ask from India, from their Russian counterparts and Russian allies, to increase that with respect to Indian exports to Russia. How that proceeds in the next 5 years to achieve the $100 billion mark, that is something that has to be closely watched out for. The devil clearly is in the details, Saleh. How this entire arrangement works out, how the defense sector opens up to private players, how space opens up to private players, all of these are going to be very interesting developments in the upcoming years.
Indeed, Dharamjot, thank you very much for joining us and getting us all those updates there. Now, the holy hills of Tirumala were lit up with the earthen lamps on the auspicious occasion of Kartika Deepotsavam festival.